I'm not known as a huge fan of the cyberpunk genre. It just never really clicked with me, I guess. There's something about a dark, fictional, twisted future world, one fairly easily avoided, that we, in real life, in the real world, just seem to be obsessed with hurtling toward at breakneck speed, all the while bemoaning the fact that, oh, there's nothing we can do to stop it. It just really breaks my brain, or my heart, or both. Themes of impending climate collapse, ultra-authoritarian capitalism, and a culture obsessed with ceding control, any bit of control, to technology for technology's sake, just hit a bit too close to home for me, I guess. I like escapism, damn it. Cyberpunk settings have just never really been fictional worlds that I've found that interesting or enjoyed exploring. But that being said, I was delightfully surprised at how much I really enjoyed Don Austin's Betamax anthology. This book is self-published. Having kicked off and raised its funding back in 2021. I'd seen mention of it over the summer on Twitter or X or whatever, Twitter. Ordered it, and this week finally got around to devouring this awesome love letter to the retro manga titles of the 80s and 90s. The ones we used to read back when our future hellscapes were still a few decades away, at least. There are definitely a lot of influences and references you'll recognize in Betamax. The book describes itself as a retro manga cyberpunk anthology, so of course you're going to see hints of Katsuhiro Otomo's Akira, Masamune Shiro's Ghost in the Shell, Yukito Kishiro's Battle Angel Alita, and other classic sci-fi manga works throughout Austin's stories in the very best way possible. Here's a quick rundown of the stories contained within. Neo Denver Stories introduces us to Marianne, an ex-cybernetics technician who is taking on whatever gig she can to gather enough money to get her cyborg boyfriend out of a life-preserving stasis due to his failing core power source. This short story happens in between all of the three main stories and connects them all. Demon 303 follows the junker mechanic Jessica T.D. and her encounter in the Aurora Badlands with Lord Kilcrick's Wasteland Biker Gang. As events proceed, things are not all they seem. Is Jessica the hunted or the hunter? Colfax Jones, a high-capacity combat cyborg staring down his own impending expiration date, laments his own listless and existentially dread-filled last days. Seemingly resigned to his fate, his hand is forced as he must confront his past to shape a new future. Lucky for him, that hand wields a high-frequency interdimensional katana. And Space Seed X. Space Station Regula 2. I don't know if it's Regula or Regula. Forgive my mispronunciation. Space Station Regula 2. I'm going to say Regula. Space Station Regula 2 receives an FTL lifeboat from the deep space exploration starship USS Dominican with one single occupant, the comatose Lieutenant Steve Quinn. The USS Dominican is supposed to arrive in 3 days, yet the crew of Regula 2 cannot raise them on subspace communications. With few options and the flight recorder of the lifeboat scrubbed, Dr. Joyce is tasked with uncovering the mystery of the USS Dominican, a mystery that will lead her to a terrible decision. There's some language and gore that I think puts this book well into rated R territory, if that still means anything to anybody anymore, but nothing you really wouldn't expect if you've read similar titles. Mostly I think this was just a lot of fun. You can tell Austin has a great love and admiration for the genre, and he really flexes his tech design and story muscles in the setting and in the over-the-top action. When trying to analyze this book on a little deeper level, I struggled to really find something to grab a hold of. I don't think that fault lies with Austin. I'd bet that a reviewer with a bit more familiarity with the history of the genre, both in and out of comics, could really dig a bit further into the themes connecting these characters and weaving these stories together. But what I kept coming back to was the question of, why is this working so well? I don't like cyberpunk stuff. Why do I like this? Why is this book so much fun? And those questions led me to a little exploration, and I started thinking, why does Akira work so well? Why do I like that? What is it about those books and that movie especially that still lives so vibrantly, not only in my mind, but in the imagination of so many others? I think I might have an answer for that. When you look through Akira's 2,000 plus pages, what do you see? Yes, you'll see an amazing sci-fi action story, blah, blah, blah. But what are you really looking at? To me, personally, I see time. And not time in the way that sequential art allows us to see time on the page, of course. I see human time, human life, literal human life transferred to a cold and technical illustrated world. I know a large team of people drew those books, but somebody spent many, many hours of their life drawing all of those windows and rivets and slabs of shattered concrete. Akira's Neo Tokyo felt real because real people had to build it. Don Austin's Neo Denver is alive because he made it live. It's a strange setting. Neo Denver? Denver? That's the last place I'd expect the future to center around, but it works because Austin makes it work. He drew every line, every rivet, every slab of shattered concrete. Every line, even those carefully ruled and technical, feels supercharged with humanity. I'm not alone in the fear that we're losing more and more of this humanity the more we integrate digital technology into our workflows, let alone have to suffer the insult and indignities of generative AI in our creative ecosystems. Hell, I'm not innocent here. No way. I work primarily digitally at this point in my career, but I often, so often, crave the good old days of pen and paper, ruler and eraser, and eraser, and erasing again. Luckily, Don Austin's Betamax is a wonderful real-world example of the true lesson that cyberpunk stories have been trying to get through our thick nanocarbonite consciousness capsules all along. That technology cannot and must not come at the expense of art and our humanity.